This video will share information about how to prune California Fuchsia, scientific name Epilobium or Zauchneria. I am going to discuss two different types of California Fuchsia. The first one, shown here in this video, is the taller form of California Fuchsia, Epilobium canum. This fuchsia can be trimmed back either lightly, right below the spent flower buds, or a bit more heavily to about 6 or 12 inches off the ground. The time to prune California fuchsias in the San Francisco Bay Area would be in the winter, generally December or early January. In this slightly closer up video, you can see that I am trimming down into the areas of the plant where I still see green new growth. This is particularly important for some of the taller California fuchsia varieties that tend to have one or just a few stems. The Epilobium canum varieties that tend to spread by underground runners can be trimmed to the ground if needed. Here is a close-up of my pruning shears as I am cutting. I am looking carefully to see where new growth appears on the stem and then cutting right above that. And here is a close-up image showing some of the new growth of the California fuchsia in mid-January. Here is the plant after I completed pruning, and here are the prunings that I cut off the plant. These can be composted or cut into smaller pieces and spread around the plant for mulch. California fuchsia will begin actively growing in the spring and throughout the late spring, and will then bloom again during the next summer and fall. This is a mid-range height California fuchsia. It is called Epilobium brilliant Smith, and you can see here that I am trimming it entirely back to the ground because it is fully rooted and it will branch up with new growth in the spring in response to my pruning. I use my small hand pruning shears to trim carefully above the new green leaves that I see growing at the base of this plant. Here is what Epilobium brilliant Smith looks like after I have finished pruning, and here is what it will look like the next summer. Next, I'm going to talk about the low-growing varieties of California fuchsia. This particular one happens to be called Wayne's Silver, and if you look closely at it in late December or January, you can see that there are new young leaves popping out from the roots at ground level and brown foliage up above. I simply cut off all this brown foliage, leaving the new green leaves. Here is the area after all of the brown stalks have been cut off, and all that's left is the new green growth. Next, here is the plant in spring, right about May. And finally, here is the plant in summer when it's beginning to bloom again. In this final example, I'm showing ground cover variety Select Matole. This variety is very similar to Wayne's Silver. I'm pruning it down here in early December. I find that pruning it to coincide with rains, should we get them in December, is ideal. And these varieties are quite flexible because they root underground. They will come back if pruned anytime between November and January. Because I pruned this plant back in November and we had a lot of rain this year, here is the new green growth already sprouting up by January. I also added a little bit of wood chips in this area, and I find that this variety comes up just fine through a light layer of wood chips. Next, here is a ground cover California fuchsia variety in March, after its green growth has started filling in. And finally, here it is during the summer when it is blooming. The bright red flowers of California fuchsia are a summer and early fall favorite of hummingbirds and a delight for the garden.